welcome everyone to another episode of the second season of the ACTO podcast. I'm Sara Gonçalves, and with me we have Pedro Torres, and today we have another inspiring guest. Her name is Filipa Lobão. Welcome, Filipa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sara. Good morning.
So, me and Pedro, we already dig into your LinkedIn. We already know a bit about you, but for our listeners, could you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Where should I start? From the beginning. So, good morning again. My name is Filipa. Currently, I am a cloud solution architect in Microsoft. I work in a global team, not the Portuguese only. So, I face many customers from outside of Portugal mainly and in the EMEA region. I work in data and analytics, so everything about data is with me, and I really love my job. So maybe I can go back a little bit back. Basically, I have a bachelor in biology, in evolutionary and developmental biology. Then I was crazy enough to apply for Emirates airline, and I worked there as a cabin crew for almost 2 years. And that gave me a really cool experience in traveling and getting to know new cultures, new countries, new desserts as well. New food, which is really interesting and important. And then I came back to Portugal to enroll in my master's degree in information management in Nova EMS School. That's where it all started in IT. I was working and also studying in after working hours, so that was very tough. Doing a master, yeah, and it was my first experience in IT. So I was trainee, rookie, with very few experience on IT in general. And it was just amazing experience. My first work was at Novabuzz, and it was a really good school for me to start growing in the area. And then I got to another company called Itachi Consulting at the time. I had my first international experience in IT with a bank in the Netherlands, so very complex area as well. And I was also a developer in business intelligence there, and also a little bit more on operational parts of the system. And then the pandemic hit in March 2020 or something in Portugal. And I thought, okay, let's change again. I'm getting not bored, but I'm getting too comfortable. So let's change again. And I applied to Microsoft for a role that is my current role. I never thought I would go I would actually get the job in Microsoft this early in my career, because I had like 3 years in IT and I had very few experience on Azure. So because I was more on-premises developer, that was really great. Like I got on Microsoft. Unfortunately, because it was the pandemic time, I didn't get to meet anyone in person for quite a while.
Oh, for sure.
That was pretty intense, like getting in a new company that is super popular and that is like the main goal of many people in IT, especially developers. It was kind of overwhelming, and that's where the fun started for my current role.
Oh, no, fantastic. I have so many questions after this intro, God.
Yeah.
I have two different questions to you. Now that you just mentioned all of that. So one, I would love to understand how someone decides to go to study biology. So I'm imagining that, kind of like animals, nature stuff. And then you say, no, let me just go and work for an airline company, which is definitely a very interesting shift. And after that, you say, no, wait, now I'm going to IT. And by the way, I'm going to data. So
Yeah.
how did that happen? Were that kind of triggers? Were people kind of advising you to do that? How did that work in terms of
I
career?
guess I don't like patterns or routines at all. If I get too comfortable, I get kind of drop the interest on stuff. So, going to biology was probably the worst choice I've done in regards to my background. But really, like I was 17 and I knew nothing about real life. I was just happy. I loved animals. I wanted to make a difference. Actually, I wanted to go to Africa, photograph the animals and study them.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, pretty different change. I love the National Geographic documentary since I was, I don't know, like really young. And I don't know, I just followed like the heart and my passion at the time. like we all do when we are kids. So pretty good. I started studying biology and actually loved the investigation and research part. So it started like changing. Like I thought, okay, I will go to the field, photograph, shoot the animals, like study them, like in the place. No, actually, I like the lab more because it has a different way of working. Like you need to know the methodologies for research. You follow a certain logic and pattern. Maybe that's why I like data so much, because it's kind of like the way of working. The logic is very interesting. Going to Emirates was basically because between biology and Emirates, I actually thought I would be bonus. I would work as a forensic anthropologist. So I went to Coimbra for a semester. I love the area, but as we all know, in Portugal, it's not something super easy to work on. Like there are not a lot of opportunities in the market. It's more like academic only. And I thought, okay, I got an advisement actually from someone that I just found that had the same background as me at the time. He was a bachelor, he had a bachelor in biology. He was going like teaching kids, not kids, like students in medicine in Coimbra. He was lecturing a lot of classes, and then he got his only first contract like in market work. So his first career step was at 40 years old in Canada.
Oh wow.
And I thought, okay, maybe I don't want this for myself. I want something not stable, something that I can really be challenged, but actually like gives me a little bit more of security, you know, like I can start early with a career. And I thought, okay, maybe I should think this through and not really go just because I love it. But is there a need in the Portuguese markets? Is there anyone asking and recruiting people who have my skills? And I thought, okay, I have cool skills, but a lot of people have the same as me, and I feel they are not working in what we want. So let's change a bit. Emirates showed up because I basically sent 100 resumes to different companies, to 100 different companies, and I got like, I don't know, 6 answers or something. I think this is pretty unusual in Portugal if you come from scientific background.
Oh,
that is
for
not
sure. If you're
easy.
not in IT, things
Yeah.
things
Or
are
engineering,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Wow.
biology was a hobby choice. Like I loved it, but I couldn't really work on it at the time as purely investigator. So what I did was, okay, I was actually working in a biotechnology company in Lisbon at the time. I was in the production line, so this was my first like raw experience in working. And Emirates just reached me. I went to the open day, all the formalities, and I got in. I was like, how did I get in? I used glasses. I took my uniform, my academic uniform there. I did not prepare like outside a lot, like in my visual. So that was interesting because you have a lot of group dynamics and just amazing experience. I thought, okay, if I fail, at least I got the experience from being here
Sure.
and training my English and stuff and knowing people, which is cool, growing your network. So yeah, I went to Emirates. Yeah, I was very supported by my boyfriend, who is still the same person. So it wasn't easy at all to change country and not seeing the people you're used to, your friends and family, for like 6 or 7 months. So, but I was living in Dubai. So on the other hand, I had like really cool experience and
Sure.
really cosmopolitan city. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Amazing.
cool. And how was the jump after that? So after being on Emirates, then you decided to come back to Lisbon and studied business intelligence, right?
Yeah.
How that idea came up?
I mentioned earlier, I got bored easily. So in my free days, I would be studying Spanish or SQL. I know this sounds really like, why are you using your 3 days? Like,
No,
yeah.
it's so different, right? Spanish and SQL. That's interesting.
I know, because we all know Portuñol, right? I was really studying the stuff like the grammar and vocabulary in Spanish. I love the language, so.
Yeah.
And I was also starting to give my first baby steps, really baby steps. I had no idea how complex it was. I thought, okay, it's like IT. I can check like, like infrastructure side, and I can check what is SQL and try to learn T-SQL. And then I start really studying it and understanding the more you study, the less you actually know, because you're aware of how big and complex this stuff is. So, and I thought, okay, when I dropped Portugal for Emirates, I thought I was already enrolled in the master, so I was always
Wow.
having that in my mind. Like I always had, okay, I have to go back one day, even if I'm 50 or 60 or 70 years old, I'll go back to finish my master. And so I just basically thought, okay, Emirates is cool experience. I had gained a lot of soft skills, traveled a lot, super cool, really interesting experience in working. But okay, now I want to go to Portugal and kind of think what I'm going to do next. So that was the hit.
Yeah, and eventually you joined to other companies and started working on that area. And
Yep.
at some point you got bored once again,
Yeah,
and you
basically.
applied for Microsoft. But at that time, did you apply to other companies? Was Microsoft the one
No.
that you were really like, oh, this is my dream job, I really want to
Yeah.
go there?
Yeah. It all started because actually my boyfriend worked at Microsoft as a customer engineer, but not in data. He is from modern work and infra stuff. So he joined I joined Itachi when he joined Microsoft just to make more confusion, right? So I love changes. And when he joined Microsoft, I just saw this happy person full of life, full of opportunities, full of people working with him from everywhere. Like, and you really feel supported at Microsoft because you can actually reach the people who develop the product you're working on and delivering to your customers. So you always have they always have your back. We always have everyone's back here. Like, you feel really like you're part of a bigger team that actually delivers a lot of impact. And it was pretty good. Like when I moved to Microsoft, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to check the careers website and be like checking what opportunities they have. But it was more like, I was kind of checking it, but not for real, until one day I actually submitted my resume, and I used to have alerts telling me like opportunities in Portugal or worldwide that I could work from here. And that showed up in March, and it was actually super quick. Like I got interviewed and got in like in a week or something. I got my didn't get in, sorry, got my proposal super quick.
Wow. Amazing.
I was not expecting, like I was really not expecting. You have the technical interviews. I had like 2 or 3. Then I had the interview with the manager by the end of the week, and it all happened super quickly.
Wow. Congrats. That's awesome. Like hiring express hiring.
Amazing.
It was unusual, let me tell you, because it's not supposed to be this quick from everything and friends I see getting in. And actually, my previous company, I had really good friends there, and I got a cool relationship with people in the company. I used to be the leader of a group called Be Yourself, which was promoting inclusion and diversification between everyone. So I left with kind of like a sad note in my heart, like, to be honest. It was super hard. Everyone was at home, and I was calling people and telling them, I have to tell you I got a new opportunity in Microsoft. I cannot refuse it. It's my dream, like in professional aspect, it's my dream to get in. It was pretty strange to like resign in a time no one was seeing each other. Maybe it also made it easier not to see people's reaction, but it was very cool experience. Like, and I still have butterflies when I talk about Microsoft, so I guess I really like it.
No, that's I totally understand. And there is 2 things that I think that are super interesting. One, is you being able to tell your family the company that you work for, and probably like your entire family knows where what Microsoft is, because I at least think about myself. Look, I've been working at Saucify, TalkDesk. Don't get me wrong, super successful companies, but no one knows. Like,
my grandma knows Microsoft.
There you go, right?
Her, I'm on Microsoft. She's like, oh, cool, that's the computer thing, right?
No, absolutely.
I heard it's good, yeah.
My parents don't know what I'm doing, And they're like, okay, are you happy? I'm happy. Okay, that's all that matters. So I can totally imagine how awesome it is to work for Microsoft. But one thing definitely I would love for you to explain, to us and to the internet a little bit better is like, so your role is being kind of an Azure Solution Architect. How is your job look like? Because that's kind of a mouthful, and you mentioned, international teams having like super awesome customers abroad and so on. How is the job? Kind of what's kind of the sort of impact that you can have?
It's challenging, and it changes a lot. So actually, I am fortunately associated to the more techie parts. So pre-implementation, designing, helping customers like choose the tools they want to explore in Azure, trying to understand if that's the right tool or not for them, advise them. I also sometimes do a little bit of troubleshooting on implementation. For example, there is a blocker and I connect a customer issue to the product group, for example, always with troubleshooting in the middle. So it's a pretty interesting role because it changes a lot and I can't really plan it ahead. Like I plan it a week or two ahead, but then new stuff are always emerging. Like I'm always getting pulled for new stuff and I love it. It may be challenging for time management. Obviously there are highs and downs, like in terms of what is expected from you, like in terms of working, right? Like we have summer is typically not so full of work time because customers are on vacation, etc. But it all depends, like what are you doing right now? Like I may have a lot of customers at the same time if the issues are like smaller, but if it's something bigger that I get like absorbed like 100% of my time, then it works in a different way. But we also have, like I said, we have our backs. Everybody is protected here. So if I feel like I'm overwhelmed at my work, I can actually just talk to my manager and we can redistribute the workload, or try to like not to leave the customers hanging, obviously, like so we can actually like redistribute the workload and help them achieve something quicker. But what I basically do is I unblock issues and I solve issues the customers sometimes don't know they have.
Wow. Nice.
So like they reach you with something and you're like, yeah, that's the consequence. What's the cause of that? And debugging that and troubleshooting that is super fun and complex.
Yeah, but must be rewarding seeing the impact that you can have on customers, right?
Yes, I also like to do some mentoring as well. So just yesterday, I was actually working with some kids that won the Imagine Cup event that we had at Microsoft. They I think it's the third prize they have. And what happened is like they are looking for technical mentoring and having these kids talking to you. And I was amazed. They did like amazing work. They developed a machine learning solution. And I was like, you guys are 17 and you did this on your own? Like, awesome. So it's really good when you feel like the future is actually like ahead of you and you can help them performing better and actually feeling passion for what they do and evolving. It's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you mentioned there that you face multiple challenges, always new things, always changing. And there was also one quote on your LinkedIn that says, "The day I stop learning is the day I stop growing." And I was wondering, what do you usually do to make sure that you keep learning and you keep growing? So to share some tips to our listeners as well.
Of course. Now that you mention it, it sounds so cliche. So I will have to probably review it. I have it there for like, I don't know, 5 years since I did LinkedIn. Well, in Microsoft, you are actually like pushed to learn. Like we have Satya saying, we don't want know-it-alls, we want learn-it-alls. Like you have people here that have 20 years of experience and they are super humble. They are the guys that invented the product. They have been here seeing the other products failing and new ones emerging and having huge success. And actually, like, you have people that you can reach and know a lot, and they are still super reachable and humble. It's not like they have this hero, this super cape hero, and they don't talk to you because you're below them or something. Nothing like that happens. So we are actually like challenged to learn a lot, like, and put yourself outside of your comfort zone. Like my area is, for example, more analytics. And just recently I am doing AI courses and searching a lot on how can I develop myself. Like I know a bit of Python, so I know I can develop myself a bit more on that area if I want to be more techie, more dev, or I can check what is there, what solutions are there, what fits on the architecture side. But I would say it's not easy to prioritize what you want to learn, and there are loads of information and places to learn. So that's very complex. And I kind of struggled a bit in the beginning when I joined, because we have so much stuff that is available and free that you don't even know where to start. So try to follow people who know about it, like specialists. Like go to the people that are known for specific technologies, follow what they share. But it's overwhelming, and I suffer from the fear of missing out. So sometimes I'm like just reading, and I'm totally not like, I don't have the need to read it, but I feel like if I don't read it, I may miss something because it happened before. But there is no need to do it. Like, actually, you can align yourself with someone from the area, or follow a channel that, I don't know, like Azure Friday, for example. It's a place, a channel in YouTube that you can see like every Friday there is something new about Azure, not just at NDI, but Azure in general. So try to follow people who are actually influenced and specialists in the area. Try to learn something new every day. You don't have to know like, oh, cool, how do I learn to do a machine learning model in a day? It's nothing like that. It's like, learn something new. Like, who is the people I should contact for this? Who should I follow on LinkedIn or Twitter for this? Or which channel should I change and see? Like, not just on the techie side, but also a little bit on how to do stuff and the impact you want to deliver, which is something that may not be super easy to achieve.
And speaking of impact, looking to your profile, we read stuff there, regarding being an activator, volunteer. There is definitely kind of a strong trait, an appetite for social causes, for sure.
Yeah.
You just mentioned kind of, helping kids, mentoring them. I see there kind of a strong trait in you of willing to give back. How important is that for you, and how does that influence your career in life?
I volunteered before also in animal shelters, and I have 4 cats, so that shows that I am crazy for animals. But I think giving back, it's the best way you have of actually enabling people to achieve where you are right now. Like, we don't want to be solo here. We don't want to be the leaders and be alone on the stage. That doesn't make sense. Like, you will not achieve stuff if you're alone at all. Like, you always need to check, brainstorm. You can't do something that you're really good at and don't influence people to actually leverage themselves and be where you are. So I had the opportunity, fortunately, when I was younger, to talk to people that really changed my life and that influenced me. So I think giving back, it's not just rewarding, but it's kind of your mission, and you have to do it. It's something that is expected from you, like, because somebody did it for you as well, and you're changing the future, even if it's just for one kid. Like, that kid may influence other people.
It's a ripple effect, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's something that also, like, I don't like to be seen as, oh, she's in Microsoft, I can reach her at all. Obviously, I will not answer in a minute or two, but I don't like to be seen as someone who is somewhere, and I hate that. Like, I am very open. I like to talk to people a lot, like you probably saw it for now. But I think, like, being in Microsoft is the place where you can actually give the example to other people to follow what they want to do. Like, no one should feel limited because they are in a smaller company or something. Like, we all started somewhere small or whatever. Like, it's just the mission that we have to enable people to get there. And that's also a very good mission we have in Microsoft, to empower everyone to achieve what they want. So that's very important for me.
That was super inspiring. I'm already thinking something from this conversation.
Cool. Thank you. That's awesome.
And you mentioned a bit ago about talking about your journey during your career, and that the thing that you regret the most was choosing biology. I wondering if during the journey after that, what are the biggest lessons that you take from that, and from all of those, your choices and all your career?
I would probably repeat all of them, but tweak them a little bit. So, for example, biology, I would probably choose something more engineering and not so scientific, just scientific and not engineering, because I feel that we have to answer issues and problems that society asks us. Choosing biology only, it's amazing, but it's also maybe not answering everything society is looking for. So a biologist is someone who investigates and researches a lot about the topic. And sometimes I feel that those topics may not be super aligned to what is expected. obviously having the resources and money-wise for that, it's not easy because the project is super important for me, but maybe it's not super recognizable for any other company except like companies that work with that. So, and that may be limiting. So to answer you, I think I would probably repeat those. I would most certainly repeat those. And I would probably just tweak them a little bit, but maybe I wouldn't be here if I did it. So I never know. I wouldn't change a lot. As long as you have fun and you learn and you can apply what you learn in your future and help others, I think that's the most important lesson. Yeah.
I completely relate to that. I when I sometimes look to my career, and probably you, Sarah, as well, definitely even the sort of kind of mistakes that one does, I think that at the end of the day, it helps you get where you are today, and I think that the journey only makes sense in its entirety. And if we change something, we don't know exactly what's going to happen next, right? It's almost like the movie. I'm an old person, so when I was young, I saw the Back to the Future movies, and there it was really clear how one, after changing something, would affect the entire future. So, for instance, maybe if you didn't study biology, who knows where you would be?
Yeah. I met a lot of people there, a lot of friends, a lot of
that influence
teachers.
Even the way of you being, thinking,
exactly.
taking into consideration, kind of challenges. No, for sure.
I think there is something also to be added there that I was very lucky because I failed fast. Like I didn't commit the same error for a while, so. And I was young, so I had a lot of time to spend trying and failing and testing and seeing what it would take me. And actually, like when you fail fast and you're not like, okay, this is my baby, I will not leave it because I invested a lot of time and money and effort, whatever in this, then you are kind of biased because maybe what you're doing is actually valuable, but the value that you recognize, it's higher than other people or whatever recognizes. I had a good example of that. My master thesis, I took probably like 3 or 4 months ideating what I wanted to do. And I did it as a tool for kind of helping perceiving the tourism in Lisbon. I took a long time ideating how I would do that and what would be the impact. Like, do I really want to go here? And that was the final topic. And getting there was tough, like, because you need to answer a lot of questions. Like, what are people asking? Are people going to have interest in what you do? Like, is it solving their issues, or are you just like doing something that is nice to have, but it's not like needed, really like required from whoever you're delivering that to? So yeah, for me, it takes a bit sometimes to decide what I'm going to do. And it's hard to assess impact, what impact you're going to have, because it's your baby. You're biased, totally biased on it.
Sure.
But then people help you on this. That's why more experienced people are super valuable for this, because they influence you on choosing the right path. So,
for sure. Now I need to ask one thing that I just need to ask this one because I had it in my mind since the beginning of the talk. So Filipa, you lived in Dubai, so tell me and Sarah and the internet how awesome it is to live in a country that doesn't pay taxes. Because I think like that should be so awesome. I think that everyone should live like that at least for a month. It could be just a month of saying, "Oh my God, I see my paycheck and it's all mine."
Yeah,
like, how awesome is that?
It's mine. I'm not going to go into details, but it's pretty hard to. In Portugal, it's not easy. Like I agree that we contribute to society and to get services public, definitely. But yes, but that's pretty good. It's like basically when you see a paycheck, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to spend this money? And Dubai is super easy to spend your money on. Like wherever you want to go, you can go out and spend a lot of money, like thousands of euros, dollars, whatever. Or you can just go for a really cool restaurant and pay a lot. But you also have the other side of the coin. Like you also have like cheaper places and not so posh that are actually like better to be because it's not full of people or something. But yeah, that's a very good question. We can talk that offline.
No, for sure.
You don't want to compromise yourself
at all.
It should be lovely. It should be lovely. Trust me.
But let me just grab another point there on your previous answer about failing fast. And I'm really curious about something because, okay, let's fail fast. Let's try different things, many things. But in any moment you probably feel some fear, right? You feel like the fear or the uncomfort of getting to face a new challenge and things that you don't know. How do you handle that fear? And do you ever feel like the imposter syndrome that, oh, I'm going to do this, I never did this? How is that?
Especially when you have the Microsoft label, it can be overwhelming. I am very lucky because I have a very good partner that listens to me a lot. So that's helpful, and good friends that listen to me a lot as well. I would probably I love fear. Like having fear is good because it's what makes you attentive to stuff. Obviously, you don't want to be feared of everything all the time. But sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not super I feel like I've seen this, but I'm not in the mood or level to actually deliver on this. I think it grows with you with experience. Like how well do you dance in this environment? But having fear, it's something that actually makes you thrive and prepare yourself for the unexpected. So if you're too comfortable, sometimes you may let go the most important part, which are like the stuff that you are not aware, and you're like, oh yeah, but I'm trying to sugarcoating with something else, or I'm trying to not really answer that question. So maybe having a little bit of anxiety or fear here is good because it makes you prepare a bit more than someone who is super comfortable with the topic. Also, technology changes like crazy. So in Azure, we have, I don't know, I can say for Power BI, for example, we have every 3 months there is change. Not just the button that changed the place, because that would be easy, but you have someone who is highly specialized on this. If they don't open their Power BI for 3 months or something, I am sure they are going to struggle on something new, because it's always evolving. That's good because we are implementing what the customers ask us and makes sense on the tool, so that the features are really useful for a lot of people. So it's more like community tool. But then it may not be easy as a cloud solution architect like myself, who covers a lot of technologies, to be up to date on everything, and that's impossible. I suffer from the imposter syndrome, unfortunately. I think I'm trying to handle it better now, because I'm surrounded by amazing people who are also enforcing me and praising me on the good stuff that I do, and also teaching me on the not so good stuff that I do. So, but it's hard. Yeah, it's not easy. I think being younger is tough for this because you look everywhere and everyone is more specialized than you, lots of years in experience in IT and life in general. So you're okay, where do I position myself? Those guys are gurus and I'm the newbie here. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. When you started mentioning FOMO, I see FOMO and the imposter syndrome going hand by hand. And even I think that's something that I throughout our careers, from the moment that we are successful, I think that we are all going to suffer from that, right? Even today, I also suffer from that. One thing that is interesting though is that actually with age, I think that it gets easier in the sense that people tend to value more your opinion just for the sake of experience, which then I think that tends to get a little bit easier, So it's actually funny, because it's when you're 20 something or even early 30s, and all of a sudden when you're in your 40s or 50s, wow, so much experience, this person is awesome. And I think that it brings kind of experience and maturity. Actually kind of has a nice outcome of giving a lot of credibility to what you say, and that tends to help on the imposter syndrome for sure.
That's interesting. Just let me add something. I feel age helps you gain confidence, not really only knowledge, but also gives you a different posture in front of people. If you're younger, you're shyer probably, or not, depends on the person, obviously, but you feel maybe it's cultural as well. You kind of compare yourself to others, and you're okay, maybe this guy's more experienced, I will let him talk. And actually, maybe you're missing on people who are really brilliant and young and figure out new stuff that you're missing because you're super biased with the product or the service or the technology, whatever. So I have been surprised before. I did a Python introduction course in, I don't even remember, 2018 or something, back in university. And I was working with this guy who was 19. I was, 20 something at the time. Let's not talk about it. But this guy was 19. And he's not doing anything because he was super quick at coding the hell of the class we had in Python. And I was just like looking at him like, I work with this and I'm so slower than you. And this guy was not even in university. He was just like finished his high school. He also knew Japanese for like years because of anime. So he picked stuff super quickly with experience. And I was like, oh, I wish I could be like you. Like, you are a sponge. You absorb everything you want. And probably dedicated lots of hours for that. But I was so surprised because he was so mature with 19 years old that he looked like he had it all controlled, you know, like the kids that you look and they are super comfortable. And I was just like, amazing. I was amazed. And that really shows you like everyone should be involved, even if they are young or old, whatever. There should be, I feel that in Microsoft, we all have the same level, like independently if you're a senior or not, you get the opportunity to intervene and talk if you want to, and be like really explore a topic with the customers. And actually like, it's not always easy for being like younger or even a woman or diverse in any way. It's not always easy to talk and to be open. But like we do a lot of work here for that to be, at least internally, to be promoted and actually with the customers as well. So I love it. Like it's good examples. You should be open to learn with everyone. Everyone has something to add.
Gosh. No, fantastic. Look, I think that definitely the conversation has been awesome. I think that everyone's taking so much out of it. We are pretty much getting to the end. And so we tend to close with like, you know, 3 more sort of personal kind of relaxing questions. You know, so imagine like people usually start with the icebreaker, we end with the icebreaker. That's you know, that's how we roll.
Yeah.
And you know, and so the first question that we have for you, Filipa, is what do you believe is your superpower?
I talk a lot. So maybe that's, I can say a lot of words in a minute. I don't know.
I love that one.
I think I'm very focused in something that if I have a goal, I'm like totally going against it. I like to be like in control of stuff and also focus a lot. So I think I was very lucky as well. It's not just the kind of person you are or the opportunities, it's also a bit of luck, for me at least. And I think my superpower would be just to be able to focus and think of the future as well a lot, not just leave the moment now, but try to see what comes next. But I don't know. I wish I could time travel as well.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's really cool.
And the second question is, you already had several experiences in different areas, but imagine that for a few days or even a few hours, you could have any job that you would like. What you will choose?
Oh, that's so hard. I have lots. I don't know. That's really hard. Like, I love the aerospatial engineering area as well. I would never apply for that because those guys are like heavily like focused on that only. I don't know. Like, it would be interesting to manage something like as a presidential role. I wouldn't choose a country, but that would be interesting, maybe.
Wow. There you go. Boom. President
That
of
was
a
a
country.
Humble.
No, super cool. Like
No
so different. I love
limitations.
it. Exactly, no limits.
It was
Like,
just a day, right? So I could browse all the problems, and then the next day the guy would have to do, okay, that's good.
to roll back everything. Oh God, love it.
So yeah, like I would be just there saying yes to everything or no to everything, whatever mood I would be.
Oh God. Last thing to end with a sort of sweet moment. So you lived at least in Portugal, right, where you are today, and in Dubai. I imagine you also traveled to a couple of countries, like in 2 years. So I can only imagine. So name, like a couple of desserts that you really love. Like we want to hear one from Portugal, one from Dubai for sure. Although I'm clueless about that one, so whatever you're going to say, I will believe it. And Sada too. And if there is like one special dessert from that weird country that you visit, and that's definitely the thing.
You hit a point here because I am into sweets a lot. So that's hard. In Portugal, where do I start? And if I say something that people are like, really? That's not even Portuguese.
No limits.
I don't know. I love the sweets like from almost everywhere. I was in Everett just recently, and I had the encharcada. I love it. It's just the egg.
Super sweet.
If you want sweet, that's the sweet stuff.
I need to taste that one.
It's sweet.
I love it. Dubai. So actually, I don't love the desserts from Middle East, but there is some place really cool there called Garrett's that is popcorn shop, but it's not typical popcorn. So it's popcorn with nuts, for example, cashew, and covered with caramel.
Wow.
That's the sweet stuff.
That sounds
or
good.
cheese or stuff. Yeah, I always go there when I go to Dubai. Yeah, amazing. It's not even like traditional in Dubai. I think it's from Chicago or something. But I go there. I love it. And from another place, maybe the mochi from Japan. I have really loved that country. I visited once only, and I'm actually learning Japanese or trying to.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes, for a year. I can do very basic, but it's good for like challenging for your brain, for exploring something you're not used to, or that you don't hear at all in your life, except if you're into animes. But it's a good challenge. So yeah, mochi from Japan. Yeah.
Oh. And tell us one thing, just for us to close.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with Japanese already? Can you say a few words? Like, could you say goodbye everyone in Japanese? Could that be a thing?
Obviously, everyone knows how to say goodbye, but I can maybe thank you and say see you.
Oh, exactly. Something like that. Just throw a couple of Japanese words and then we'll
You
close
will
it.
understand everything because it's really basic. Like, domo arigatou gozaimasu, ja mata ne.
I didn't.
So we are supposed to understand. Okay.
I don't understand
I
anything.
said arigatou.
There you go. It's fine,
Yeah.
but everything else is like, and it sounded super friendly. It was, oh gosh, that
Yeah.
sounds so real.
Yeah.
This was an
voice,
amazing,
thank you.
an amazing end.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Filipa. And
Sarah,
I think,
close this off.
yeah, this was a great conversation. I hope that all listeners could learn as much as I did, at
And
least,
Japanese.
and a bit of Japanese as well. But yeah, I hope this was very inspiring for everyone. And thank you everyone for watching this. And we hope to see you again in the next episode of ACTO. Thank you so much, Filipa.
Filipa.
Thank you. See
Thank
you
you,
later.
Internet.